Find the slope of the line that passes through the points given. Remember, the format is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we'll start with our y values. 1 minus -3 goes on top. And then our x values, -6 minus 2 goes on the bottom. When you see minus and negative, you can change that to plus positive. 1 plus 3 is 4. -6 minus 2 is -8. And if we reduce that fraction, that gives us a slope of -1/2. Position the line so that it pops both balloons. Create a line to complete the pattern. Enter the slope of the line and position the point on the graph so the line you create passes through the point. So we're going to place it here. The slope, I see that it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1. So the slope of 5 Write an equation for the line that pops both balloons. Here I see that the red balloon is starting on the y-axis at about 1.5, so my b value or my y-intercept could be 1.5. I'm also going to go down and over. So from 1.5 to -3.5, that'd be 1/2, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 5 and over 4, which should be a slope of -5, 4. Or you could use a decimal if you prefer. And then we will click try it. Write an equation for a line to pop only the solid color balloon. So in this one, it might be easier to use the point slope form instead of the slope intercept form because we don't have the y-intercept given to us in the form of a balloon. So here, the point that I want to intersect is this point -3, 0. So the x value is a -3, and the y value is a 0. You can change the minus and negative to plus. And then we need a slope. So here is my point. I might go up 1 and over 1, and down 1 and over 1, but I might intersect this if I use that slope. So we'll try a slope of 1 and see what happens. Oh, we ran into that balloon. So we need to adjust our slope. Instead, we might want it to come through around this direction. So that would be up 2 and over 4, or for a slope of 1/2. Let's try changing out the slope with 1/2. So we made it less steep, but we kept the point 3, 0, or -3, 0 on there so that we crossed through the green solid balloon. Write an equation of a line to complete the pattern. The other lines have slopes of -3/10. So we want to go through this point. You can see all of them are between 1 and 2, between 2 and 3, between 3 and 4. So we want to be in here between 0 and 1, which is the point half. So the y-intercept is a half. So we can use y equals mx plus b format here. We know the slope needs to be -3/10 so that it is parallel. And we want to go through the y-axis at the point 1/2 or 0.5. And we got the check mark, so we're good to move on to the next slide. Write an equation of a line to complete the pattern. The other lines have an undefined slope. So that would mean in our format, we either have a y equals line or an x equals line, and we're missing the other variable. Think back to the lesson where we learned about vertical and horizontal lines. Well, we want the x value to be 4. Some challenges require you to cut cake, but they are not as easy as pie. Write an equation of the line that cuts the cake in half. We just saw that a line with x equals and a number was a vertical line. So if we wanted to cut this vertically in half, the x value we would need is -1.5. You could also use a horizontal line. And if we wanted to go horizontally, the y value we would want is 2.5. So just a different way of thinking about it. You could also go diagonally through that point. If we used the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, or point slope form, we could go through this point in the middle, which is the coordinates -1.5 and +2.5. And the slope we would use is going to go up 3 and over 5 because we're going to cut diagonally here. So we're going to go from this point up 3 and over 5. So just some different perspectives on how to cut the cake in half. For 8, I recommend using the point slope form. We want to go through the point 1, 2, so that has an x value of 1 and a y value of 2. And then the slope, we're going to want to cut diagonally here, so it looks like we're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, so we're going to try a slope of 1 in the m's position. Yes. Again, you can cut through the cake other ways. This is just diagonally in half. Challenges 9 and 10 do not have grid lines, but it says that won't stop you though. Write an equation of the line that cuts both cakes in half. So we can use y equals mx plus b because this pi is on the y-axis. So you can see here that it has 0, 1.5. So the y-intercept on this one is 1.5. And then to find the slope, we can use the y2 minus y1 strategy over x2 minus x1. 1.5 minus 0 is 1.5. 0 minus negative 3.5 is positive 3.5. To get rid of the decimal in the fraction, we can multiply by 2. 1.5 times 2 is 3. 3.5 times 2 is 7. So we can use a slope of 3/7. And the slope is labeled with m. Write an equation of a line that pops all 3 balloons. Well, let's start by calculating the slope between these 2 smallest balloons. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. 5 minus negative 5 is positive 10. So if we reduce, that would be a slope of negative 1/5. And then we can use one of these points to write it in point slope form. Using these points, we're going to replace the y value with a 5 and the x value with a negative 5. Again, minus a negative can be changed to plus with a positive, and our slope was negative 1/5. And we got all 3. For challenges 11 through 13, you will not be able to see the coordinate plane right away. Don't let it stop you. A pattern is made by lines that have a slope of negative 2/3. Write an equation of a line to complete the pattern with a line that passes through the point 3, negative 4. So this is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The slope of negative 2/3 replaces the m, and it should go through the point 3, which is the x value, negative 4, which is this y value. If you're subtracting a negative, you can change that to plus. There is a balloon centered at the point 1, 0, and another balloon centered at the point 5, 2. Write an equation of the line that pops both balloons. We will start with y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 2 minus 0 is 2. 5 minus 1 is 4, giving us a slope of 1/2. In point slope form, the m gets replaced with 1/2. X sub 1 was 1. and the y value in the first point was 0. There is a balloon centered at the point 0, -3, and another balloon centered at the point 4, -3. Okay, so if we're looking for the slope here, the y values subtracted divided by the x values subtracted. 3 minus -3, or 3 plus 3 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. That gives us a slope of 0. And I also notice that the point 0, -3, if we were to graph that, 0, -3 would be on the y-axis. So our m is 0, and our b value is at -3. So this one I can just write in slope-intercept form. You can also use point-slope form, but it might be faster if you use slope-intercept form. You can simplify this. You do not need 0x. You can remove it, and it will still go through both of those balloons. That's the end of lesson 24, all about graphing lines in various formats.